How does an orphan with no money or connections build the most famous watch brand in the world? A lot of Rolex's history is shrouded in mystery and secrets. But today, we're looking deeper into the incredible rags-to-riches story of Rolex and answering the question, why are Rolexes really so expensive? The story of Rolex begins with its innovative founder, Hans Wilsdorf. Born in Germany in 1881, his childhood was cut tragically short when he was orphaned at age 12. Sent to boarding school by his uncles, Hans threw himself into his studies, excelling at languages. After graduating, he went to work in Switzerland for a pocket watch exporter. This role gave Hans a deep understanding of watch construction and the industry. He developed a deep appreciation for the craft and became obsessed with the idea of creating the perfect watch. Hans moved to London, gaining key sales and marketing experience. In 1905, he started his own firm, Wilsdorf and Davis, with his brother-in-law Alfred Davis. They imported Swiss watches to sell in the UK, but Hans made a bold bet on the wristwatch. At the time, wristwatches were considered flimsy women's jewelry, with men strongly preferring pocket watches. But Hans believed wristwatches were more convenient and elegant, predicting they were the future and would one day replace pocket watches definitively. Ignoring his critics, Hans bet the company's entire fortune on wristwatches, believing they were the future. Everyone thought he was crazy. To ensure quality, he used an old connection to import Swiss-made mechanisms. But Hans knew quality alone wasn't enough. Brand recognition was the most crucial element, and that began with a memorable name. The origin of the name Rolex is curious. Hans Wilsdorf claimed that after trying hundreds of letter combinations, a genie whispered Rolex in his ear one morning. The name was perfect, short, memorable, and easy to pronounce in any language. Wilsdorf began printing it on all his watch dials. Soon the quality matched the name. In 1910, Rolex became the first wristwatch awarded the Swiss Certificate of Precision. Then in 1914, Britain's Kew Observatory awarded it a Class A rating, a first for any wristwatch. Rolex was quickly developing an association with quality and precision. During World War I, tensions over Hans Wilsdorf's German heritage and heavy British wartime taxes prompted him to relocate Rolex headquarters to neutral Switzerland. This move proved pivotal. While many watchmakers went bankrupt, Rolex thrived as their reliable wristwatches became a military favorite. But the brand's rapid growth was truly fueled by Hans's marketing genius, placing his watches on explorers, athletes, and aviators, creating a powerful link between high achievement and Rolex decades before his competitors. In 1926, Rolex created the world's first waterproof watch, the Oyster. Hans Wilsdorf had a brilliant marketing idea, convincing a woman swimming the English Channel to wear one. After 10 long hours in the water, she emerged with the watch completely intact, generating huge headlines. He then had dealers display the watches in fish tanks, catching the eye of passers-by. 5 years later, Rolex engineers developed the Perpetual rotor, which automatically wound the watch, something previously considered impossible. This combined strategy of great marketing and constant innovation allowed Rolex to keep rapidly expanding. In 1945, Rolex launched the Datejust, the first automatic watch with a date window. But this triumph was overshadowed by personal tragedy. Hans's beloved wife, Florence, passed away, leaving him widowed at 63. Confronting his own mortality, Hans sought to secure the future of his empire. In 1946, he established the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, transferring his entire ownership stake in Rolex to it. To this day, the foundation maintains full control. As a trust, it has no shareholders and no requirement to disclose its financial activities. A portion of profits supports charitable causes, but this unique structure allows Rolex to maintain an extraordinary level of secrecy. So despite being the world's most famous watch brand, very little is known about its internal affairs. Some say the foundation is a clever way to protect Rolex's wealth and power. Employees have strict non-disclosure agreements, and no photos are allowed inside its buildings. Rolex operates from the shadows, making it nearly impossible to critique what goes on behind closed doors. When Hans died in 1960, the new owners continued this legacy of secrecy and strength. As a result of this, these quartz watches flooded the market, and many mechanical watch manufacturers went bankrupt between 1970 and 1988. Swiss watch employment fell from 90,000 to 28,000, and yet despite this, Rolex was fine. So the question is, what makes Rolex different? Why can they continue to judge so much for their watches? In 2017, a Daytona Rolex that once belonged to late Hollywood star Paul Newman shattered records when it was sold at auction for an astonishing price of $17.7 million. Whilst you definitely don't need to spend that much money to get a Rolex, even the most entry-level model would set you back many thousands of dollars. So why are people willing to spend so much to buy a Rolex when this similar watch is so much cheaper and we've all got the time on our smartphones anyway? Well, when you Google this, the answer seems fairly straightforward. That basically says Rolexes are just really well made. That's ultimately why they're so expensive, because you're buying something that will last you a lifetime, presumably this. But the high price isn't just about quality. Rolex is a universal status symbol, worn by countless iconic figures from rappers to royalty. This status is thanks to a high-visibility marketing strategy that associates the brand with success. For example, Rolex is the official timekeeper for both Wimbledon and Formula One. You'll also see them in movies like on the wrist of James Bond, and endorsed by stars like Roger Federer, who reportedly earns $8 million a year from the brand. Of course, a Rolex isn't just hype. They use premium, rigorously tested materials and invest heavily in their own scientific labs. However, estimates suggest their profit margins could be massive, with some claiming a watch that sells for $7,000 might only cost $700 to make. The rest is spent on advertising and sponsorships to keep the brand exclusive. Because of Rolex's secrecy, we don't know the exact costs, but the markup is clearly significant. Rolex isn't the rarest or most expensive watch. Instead, it's an upper-middle-class aspirational brand, expensive but obtainable. With Rolex, you're paying for brand prestige built on masterful marketing. High prices fund sponsorships with influential people and prestigious events. This creates more demand, which in turn allows Rolex to charge even higher prices. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of prestige, proving that great marketing can be the key to success. To maintain its image of prestige, Rolex sells exclusively through authorized dealers, with no discounts. When they realized they were missing sales from people who couldn't afford a Rolex, they introduced a separate brand, Tudor, rather than risk diluting the main brand by making it too accessible and thus damaging its position as a status symbol. But this goes even further, as it's believed that Rolex artificially create scarcity for their products. You see, Rolex makes about 800,000 to 1 million watches per year, which is way less than the demand for their watches. But the reason for the shortages is likely that they deliberately limit the supply to keep the demand high, which allows them to keep pricing high. As the wait time can range from 6 months to 3 years, authorized dealers have sometimes claimed that the company is undersupplying the market to drive the price up and engaging in price fixing worldwide to maintain the value of their watches. Because it's true, their watches do take time to make. It's unlikely to be as much time as some say. While some claim a Rolex takes a year to make with no outsourcing, reports suggest some parts are outsourced. They also aren't entirely handmade. Machines are used. This suggests Rolex could produce more watches if they wanted to. The resulting scarcity isn't a production limitation. It's a deliberate and smart business strategy to maintain unfulfilled demand. Rolex is a Veblen good, a product that contradicts normal supply and demand. With most products, demand falls as prices rise. But for a Veblen good, the opposite is true. Higher prices lead to more people wanting it. That's because they are purchased to signal status. If Rolex slashed its prices, demand would likely fall as the brand would lose its premium perception and exclusivity. The good news is, even though a lot of Rolex's price doesn't just come from the quality of the watch, that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Thanks to Rolex's rich heritage and reputation, they generally hold their value or can even increase in value if well maintained. thus allowing people to view it as an investment that will still be worth a similar price even years after use. Something with very few other watch brands have achieved. Rolex transformed from a tool watch into a luxury icon, becoming one of the world's most valuable brands. Given the adversity Hans Wilsdorf faced, it's an incredible story with lessons for us all. For another insane success story, check out my video on Cornelius Vanderbilt. Thanks for watching.